كن سعيدا كن فريدا عش بفخر في الحياة لا تبالي فالمعالي بالتحدي لا سوى.
Alaikum everyone, this is Dina and
Wania.
This is episode 2 of UmmahSpeaks, and today we're joined by our beautiful guest, Maryam. Maryam, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, assalamu everyone. My name is Maryam, fourth year medical sciences at Western, and I'm also VP Public Relations of the MSA.
Yes, we chose Maryam as our guest for today because Maryam is a fourth year medical student and also a med sci student, and also she is in a lot of clubs. So I feel like she's able to balance a lot. And today we're actually talking about balancing work and Deen as a uni student. So that's why Maryam's here with us.
Her input will definitely be helpful.
Definitely. And we're first year, so you're kind of like our older sister. Yeah. So you're going to just help us around here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about how it's midterms right now?
Yeah, so basically right now, I feel like this is an episode that should be like talked about more than any other because it is midterm season. And so a lot of students are having like trouble balancing out their like work life. And on top of that, if you're a Muslim student, it gets difficult to balance your work life along with your like Deen, like keeping up with your prayers, reading Quran, etc., etc. So yeah, I feel like it's something important to discuss at this time.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, like while you're making something between your breaks, I think this is a good episode for you. It will help you, go back on track, and it's something nice to listen to. So just, I know it's busy midterm season, but sometimes, focusing and getting back on track just helps you become more productive in the long run.
Okay, so the first point we want to talk about is academic validation as a Muslim. So as a Muslim, your worth is worth a lot. It's a lot more than the grades that you earn. You have a bigger purpose in this life, and it shouldn't be just confined to whether or not you got an A+ on your your chem midterm.
Yeah. But also, I feel like as Muslims and, our culture in general, we do prioritize grades a lot. And especially with parents and family and stuff like that. So I feel like when I talk to my friends and I'm like, hey, you're not just your grades, they'd be like, well, that's not true.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here for my grades.
Yeah, and I do agree, getting high grades, we cannot just overlook that. It's important. But at the end of the day, as a Muslim, it's not entirely who you are, and it's not entirely your worth, and you're just so much more than just your grade. It could be a part of, I worked hard, I was able to get this, result, but also you have so much more purpose than that. Yeah.
Also, I feel like something my dad has always told me, you're in this for the long term, not for 1 or 2 short tests. So if you get a bad mark on 1 or 2 tests in the beginning, it's okay. It's not a jog, it's a long-term race.
I agree with that so much. Maryam, what do you think about a long-term run rather than just short spurts of work? Just because you have been in here 4 years.
You're in your 4th year, so how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so definitely when I was in my first year, actually, sort of transitioning from high school to university was really big for me, especially because I did high school in a whole other country, in Saudi Arabia. So it was a very big transition. And I remember my first ever midterm, I think it was Bio 1001 or 101. And I did terrible on that midterm, and I was like, oh my god, this is the end of my career, med sci is over for me, khalas, I'm done, all good. And then alhamdulillah, I stuck with it, and alhamdulillah, I'm in 4th year medical sciences now. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, is what I like to tell people. Never ever focus on the short-term things. Always focus on what you want to do long-term. And if you ever have long-term goals, I would say definitely look to achieve them, inshallah, because you'd surprise yourself on how well you can actually, I guess. I can't talk.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, you surprise yourself based on how well you can actually stick with it and actually carry out those goals, inshallah.
And the place that you're in, say 4 years from now, yourself, it's it's probably nothing that you've imagined compared to where you were 4 years ago. If you were to picture yourself 4 years from now in the future, that's probably not what I would picture. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm saying the same thing. As I started my high school journey, this is not I would not picture myself to be doing a podcast for the MSA in my first year.
For sure. Yeah.
And I feel also it's important to have trust in yourself. I think that's what you're trying to explain more on. Have trust in yourself. you can do this. And I know, like, for me personally, first assignment, I was like, I might have to drop out of high school, out of uni. I was being dramatic, but also like, you made it this far, you're gonna make it, you know, as things go along. Inshallah, yeah, of course. And a very important part is that we are not in control of the results. We are only in control of how much work we put in. So if you do an exam and you don't do well, you know, be upset at the fact that you didn't work hard enough, you know, try to change that and why you got to this result if you didn't work hard enough. But if you did your best, and I know it sounds like if you did your best, it's fine, but it truly is. At the end of the day, the results are, you know, controlled by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as long as you did your best, that's all you need to worry about.
And also, building off of what you said, that the results are controlled by Allah, that doesn't mean that, like, oh, the results are controlled by Allah, I can just sit back and do nothing, and God will, like, you know, take care of the rest. No, like, you know that saying, what was it, like, you have to tie your camel or something, right? So, you have to tie your camel, you have to do your end, and leave the rest to God.
Yeah, during high school, I would just go to an exam, not really study that much. I'm like, Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'alta sahla. I'm like, okay, I really did not do my part. Allahumma zidni ilma, just like a moment before the exam, doing my best. But also, it's important to work hard and then leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, now let's get into a bit like of our experiences thus far.
Yeah.
It's only been like a month, but
also like I feel like the first month is the most filled with experiences because everything's new, and also like Wania is a mid-sized student first year, and that tends to be also like very difficult. I heard my roommate is, you know, doing med-sci, so I see her, you know, awake all the time doing her calculus stuff and stuff like that. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, it's definitely like a big jump in terms of workload from high school, but I feel like if you manage your time well, and like I feel like my dean does help me do that, you know, like I work my schedule around my prayers. Yeah. So like before Zohar, I have to be done this. Before Esther, I have to be done this. And so like I feel like that helps me like get through my day like in a much more organized fashion. And yeah, so like it's really important to like incorporate your Deen into like your your regular everyday routine. It'll help you organize things, especially like, you know, as a Muslim student, it is something that you should be doing. And yeah, but I feel like Maryam could give us like more input on that, like after 4 whole years of it.
Just to jump off of what you said, I kind of like to think of like my Salah times as like breaks because, you know, as a med-sci student, there are times where I've like studied for like, I don't know, like for 12 hours straight, right? And then I don't take breaks, right? But like, you know, praying Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, like at least it allows me that time to like, you know, step away from my computer and like, you know, get my prayer out and like actually like focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, focus on everything like that. And then also gives me a time to like reflect on sort of everything that I've been through so far, everything that I've done, and just like say alhamdulillah, be grateful for everything that Allah has provided me, all the rizq Allah has provided me. So like in a time where, you know, being a student is overwhelming, it's, you know, everything is like crazy, like Salah is definitely that opportunity to like take a step back and just sort of see where you've been and also where you're gonna go, inshallah.
Yeah. And I'd like to think of, you know, it's like not like your Deen helps you with balancing your life. It's not like, oh, I have to balance my Deen and my uni life. I feel like when we look at it in a way that our Deen actually helps us, you know, manage our life in general, that's a more beautiful way of looking at it. And having Salah like 5 times a day really helps you make sure that you always connect back to Allah, because you can't get too immersed in this dunya, because, you know, every couple of hours you have to pray and remember why you're here on this earth. So maybe you're doing this paper and it's really overwhelming you. When you go and do Salah, again, be like mindful of your Salah, because sometimes Salah becomes just like a routine, like I just need to get this over with. It's important for us to at least, you know, take a moment, and sometimes I like to like read my favorite surahs in you know, during prayer. It helps me focus better. So when you do that, you always remember that, hey, this is really not the end of the world. I'll be able to get through this. And my experience personally, I came to university, I'm really excited about meeting everyone, you know, and I always was in the same school basically for as long as I remember back home. So I know everyone. So when I came here, I was so excited to meet a lot of people and do a lot of activities, which I do. But also, again, that's a balance that you need to find, because I find some people would only like just do their work and, you know, cut down on the social thing.
Yeah.
And I sometimes tend to do the opposite, but again, I need to get myself in check, which I am doing right now. But it's an important balance between all these three things. Do not cut one of, and of course, Deen is like the number one thing. We cannot cut that off. But it's important balance of all three. Again, this is an experience. University is an experience, and I like to think of it that way. You know, these little times that we get to enjoy, you know, I left studying to come and do this podcast, but this is very important for my wellness and well-being, which we will discuss. Wellness and well-being. I feel like just a little thing I need to add is that she said, like, we're working on like a long journey. You can't just tire yourself out in the beginning and then burn out the rest of the time. So taking care of your well-being, although it might sound like, oh, you know, like, I need to do this right now, I don't care about my well-being, but on the long run, you're actually like harming yourself. So you need to be careful of that.
Also, Salah is the opportunity to take care of your well-being, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You're completely distancing yourself from the dunya, and like you're immersing yourself into like your relation. You're focusing on your relationship with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. And just like improving your deen, and not only Salah as well, but reading Quran as well. Like, that's something I like to engage in. And just like, you know, attending Islamic lectures as well is also like another thing that I know myself and a lot of other Muslim students do as well. Like, we have, alhamdulillah, we have LMM, we have MWM, we have Mackay Park, all these masjids that like, they do a really, really great job of, you know, having at least like one sort of lecture every single day. So sometimes, you know, it doesn't have to be necessarily Salah, but like just incorporating some sort of aspect of deen in your life every single day, that's gonna help you, inshallah, in the long run.
Yeah, and also I feel like going off of what you said about like the lectures daily and stuff, I feel like if you think that's like way too much for you to be doing like every single day, like once in a while is good as well. And like there are also like just like walking to maybe like your res to class. You could be reading like Qul Huwallahu Ahad, doing zikr. You know, it's like the little stuff.
And also, like, personally, I put my headphones on and I listen to some Islamic podcasts or like whatever, you know, that helps you. I personally listen to the Digital Sisterhood, my absolute favorite. I'm just a big fan. So like while I'm walking, you know, campus is large. Sometimes you want to go from one place to another. Put some Quran on. It really helps like soothe your soul, truly. And
it also helps like calm your mind a bit. Like before you're going into your chem lecture, you need that. You know?
Sort of like a reset, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're going from class to class. Like your mind might be occupied, like, oh my god, I got this bio midterm, I got this like whatever midterm happening, and then you know you turn the Quran and you're like, okay, like this is like my.
It keeps all those like those what if kind of thoughts out.
And recommendation is like sometimes like it's nice to find a certain qari that you really enjoy listening to their voice, and that personally helps me a lot because it really feels soothing and like it becomes part like I want to listen to the Quran. It's not like, oh, I need to. In a sort of way. And I also want to add, as you said, like you don't have to do something out of the box, like I need to go to, you know, try to start with things that are already in your routine. For example, for me, I like to, like when I'm overwhelmed, to focus on my wudu and like take every moment to appreciate that I'm doing wudu right now, like the way my sins are dripping down, you know, as I'm like doing the wudu, and like just being down the drain, but like just being mindful of small things like that. And also the MSA does every Friday a prayer at the community room at the UCC. So that's like a good way if you're already on campus and you know have a break during that time, just join up. You'll see people in the community there, and there are usually Q&As by Sheikh Khalid. Is that right?
Yeah, every other Friday.
Yeah, and also like you know, Friday prayer, khutbah, that those are always really nice. So try, like, if you're already doing something, to add that aspect to it or emphasize it.
Yeah, and going off of what you said, it's also a great way to, like, you know, meet other Muslims in your campus community. Because, like, I feel like when you walk onto the street, you won't see as many Muslims as you, like, expect you would. But, like, when you actually go to, like, the masjid or, like, you know, the UCC prayer room, you'll find there are, like, actually, like, a lot more Muslims than you expected.
Yeah, that's so true. Two of my friends I met at the prayer room actually have one of a funny story about that. But it's really nice to meet, you know, other girls at the prayer room, say salam alaikum, like, what are you doing and stuff like that. So that's, like, a good part of engaging in your community as well. And I just want to, you know, we talked a lot about Salah and the importance of, like, these little things that you emphasize in your life, but also Adkhar. Adkhar are literally my favorite thing to do. Like, me talking about this, like, but actually, truly, like, there's Adkhar for everything. for when you enter a room, when you look at yourself in the mirror, when you enter a car, you're driving somewhere, when you're sleeping, when you're waking up, when you're eating, like there's adhkar for everything, and I think that's very beautiful, and that just keeps you like in sync all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps you like incorporate, like, you know, it helps you remember a lot in like literally everything you do. And I mean everything you do.
Yeah, and a lot of them are so beautiful. So when you're saying them, you're like, you get to feel that. And of course, adhkar before exams are very important. I do depend on them.
I have
very
like all
highly.
of them memorized.
Actually. And like before the exam, you know how you would be revising? I make sure the last thing I do, you know.
Read all your adhkar.
Read all your adhkar. And you know, there's the Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla, but there's also a lot of adhkar. And we were thinking about, you know, doing a post on the MSA Instagram, hopefully, or a story. So you would like to check that out. You know, take a screenshot, keep it on your phone, and whenever you have an exam, just go through them real quick. You will feel so much better, you know, before going to the exam.
So going off of what you said about like adhkar and stuff, like one thing, I feel like there's like that one time of day, I think Maryam, you said for you it's like after Fajr time where you do your daily adhkar.
Yeah, so the morning adhkar, there's like an app that I use, and it gives you like a whole list of adhkar. I just literally read through them. You know, after Fajr, or even like the morning in general, is like a time, I think the Prophet ﷺ said it's a time where it's like there's a lot of blessing, right? So even though waking up for Fajr is definitely a struggle, nowadays not so much. It's like it's like 6:30. Like you might as well just like wake up, go to class.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like I used to I was wake up for Fajr, make wudu, and then pray, and then I'd always get my iPad out and just like make sure that I'm at least going. You know, if I don't read Quran that day, at the very least, like, you know, go through the adhkar, the morning adhkar, and I feel like that just like kind of jump starts my day. It gives me that like boost that I need. That sometimes caffeine doesn't necessarily give you. But yeah, like after that, I'm usually able to like, alhamdulillah, you know, get my day going, and like I actually feel a lot more productive. And just sort of like jumping off of what you said about like you know, having like adhkar being incorporated every day for like life, including studies. Like literally on my iPad, I have like a dua for productivity. So every time I open my iPad, just like to like get work done, like that adhkar just pops. It just pops up, right? And I just like read it. So that's like another thing, like another tip I would say. Like
that's her secret.
Put like like your wallpaper, literally just like put like the dua for productivity, and then every time you open it up, you're like ready to go. Inshallah.
I just want to add, like, personally, for me, morning adhkar, I do not like to look on my phone, because the moment I open my phone, I will go on Instagram or something, you know. So for me, I have just this little like notebook thing with the adhkar on it. I personally find that very helpful. I try to stay away from, you know, like phones in the morning, because they might suck you in, and it just might take you to another, you know, place. How many times you open your phone, you want to do something, and then you just end up checking your messages and stuff like that. You know, if you have the best phone for that, but for me personally, I have that little notebook. And also I like to, like, if you have a mesbaha, I don't know, it's like tasbih. A little bracelet, something like Or I personally do crochet while doing my adhkar, just so like I don't exactly. I just sit down and I make sure I go through all my adhkar, and that's a good way to do it. So
I have something similar, except I don't do my adhkar like when I wake up. I feel like when I wake up in the morning, like my brain isn't functioning. Like I do all my adhkar before bed. So like one thing I like to do is, like, you know how you do the 33 subhanallah, 33 alhamdulillah, 34 Allahu Akbar. So while I'm saying my 33 alhamdulillah before bed, I think of like one blessing that I have like every day, like for that day. Sorry. Like I count one alhamdulillah for like each blessing. So like that's 33 blessings counted before I go to bed.
That's so sweet and nice, and I should definitely start.
And and I feel like it's like, okay, this has been a good day because of that.
That's so beautiful, because sometimes, you know, words just become words. So it's important when you say alhamdulillah, you're like thanking God for the blessings of these days. So remembering all these blessings. And if you're like, I had a bad day, when you sit down, you're like, I have 33 things to be grateful for today. You're like, you know, it's not as bad.
It kind of reminds me also of that verse in the Quran, with hardship comes ease. So even though like you might have faced some sort of hardship or whatever during the day, at least there's like there must have been some good. out of it, you know.
And if you think about it, there's probably like way more things to be grateful for than there are to be like,
absolutely,
about.
Exactly. And I just want to jump off with hardship comes ease. I'm sorry, but that part really gets me through a lot. Sometimes things get super overwhelming with life in general, and I sit down like, am I able to do this? And Allah never burdens a soul more than it could take. So when I'm going through something, I remember that Allah gave this, hardship for me, knowing that I could go through it. So maybe I don't believe in myself, but Allah believes that I could go through this. So going through that life, you're like, wow, I have way too much. Like, am I even good enough to be here? Or whatever thoughts that can come along with, hardship. It's important to remember that Allah never gives you a hardship and leaves you. He gives you hardship, He gives you ease, and He helps you, He guides you through that.
Every step of
and you can do it. If it's here with you, I know it might seem impossible and overwhelming, but you'll be able to go through it.
Yeah, and I feel like the struggles you're going through at the moment, when like a few months or maybe like a year or so has passed, you're gonna look back on that and say, yeah, that wasn't as bad as it
that was dramatic, yeah. And last thing, like sometimes things become bigger in your brain. You know what I mean? Like if you have I have this assignment, I have so much to do. When it's in your brain, it just becomes, inflated in a way that's like, it's too much. I'm dramatic personally, so it's so much sometimes. So writing things down, I feel like that's always a good way to go. This is just general tips, honestly. Like when you write things down, you know exactly how quantifiable they are. You have 3,000 words to write. You're not, I have an essay, it's like, so writing things down always helps you. Speaking things to your friends, don't keep things in your mind. Sometimes keeping things in your mind can,
it builds them up, and you build like what if questions,
Yeah, what if yeah. And exactly. So try your best to talk to people around you, and which brings us to the MSA. Yeah, MSA is a great place to meet people who are hardworking and also into their Deen, so you can find the balance for that always.
I met these girls through the MSA, and I approve.
MSA has been like a huge like part of my life ever since I started first year. Just a fun little story. My father actually, my father did his like postdoctorate at Western in the 2000s. And like when he landed in London, he didn't know anyone. Like it was like completely different new environment because he had moved from Saudi, right?
Yeah.
So all he had was pretty much just like this number that some random person gave him. So he called them up, and it turned out to be the MSA. And like during that year alone, like mashallah, like the MSA was just like a huge part of my dad's life. So when I was applying to university, he was like, make sure you go to MSA. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, okay, sure, like whatever, I'll join the MSA. But then I joined in first year, and then I met all these like new people, and like these people you might not even see, like you wouldn't see outside of like the MSA or even outside the period, because like everyone has like different classes, different programs, different whatever. But like if you go to an MSA event, you show up, it's literally just all Muslims, right? And then you have that community with you. And I've progressed 4 years, and I went from being a member to being like a director for 2 years, and alhamdulillah, I'm VP. So like the impact that the previous VPs had on me in the past like 3 years, alhamdulillah, I have that opportunity and that blessing to like do the same thing with my directors and my associate directors, you guys. So yeah, alhamdulillah, I honestly think of it as a blessing. The MSA, it's been a huge part of my life.
I personally approve of what Maryam is saying, because she is our VP and she's like an older sister to us. She's very inspirational. She got her life together, and I look at her and she's very helpful. She's very nice to us. Yeah. So I feel like people in the MSA generally everyone's nice. Everyone I've met is nice, and we all have that shared goal that we're here for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I feel like you create such special connections through that all the time. If you just reflect that on yourself. Like if you have a friend that you have a connection with, and also a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you love them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the most beautiful thing on earth. And like compare that with other friendships or relationships that you've had, and you can tell how that is just more special than anything. So
yeah, I feel like when you're like together for like the same common goal, like end goal, I mean end goal, not like the same program goal, but the end goal, then it really unites you on like a spiritual level. And like the friendships that you make, they're just like so much, more heartfelt, deeper, soul connecting. So that also like leads me into our next point, where like surrounding yourself with the right people in university is like
number one thing.
Literally so crucial.
Yeah.
I feel like we talk about surrounding yourself with the right friends. It's important to like, have good friends, blah blah blah. But like, no, it is really important because like it literally impacts everything. The way you think is impacted by the friends around you. The way you act is impacted by the friends around you. The places you go to, the people you meet, stuff like that, everything.
And there's an Arabic saying that says "sahib sahib," which means basically like your friend pulls you to wherever they are. And I know some people will be like, but I'm gonna change them and stuff like that. Honestly, when you're going through uni, it's just better to surround yourself with people with the same values and believe the same things. You don't have to we're not in the same program, let's say, but we have the same values. I feel like that's why the MSA is such a good place to go to, like marketing this. But really, you guys, if when there are any MSA events, join up. They're very interesting. We did the residence thing. That was really fun. Yeah. We do really nice Kahoots too. And it's just fun environment to be around. You get to meet all these people and you end up, we have a group chat where it's a study group chat for Muslim girls, and I got to meet them all through, let's say, that event. Yeah. So.
And it's when you meet other Muslim girls, it's they share the same kind of values as you.
Yes.
So it's it's easier to set boundaries, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and the boundaries are kind of set already. You already know certain stuff. So I find that. Maryam, what do you think about friends? Have you had certain experiences that you wish you kind of avoided?
Yeah. So just to say, Western itself is it's a party school.
Yeah, you can't avoid that.
So sometimes it's just really, really hard to find the right people. Just because peer pressure and
yeah, definitely.
Sort of the surrounding environment isn't the best, especially for Muslim people or Muslim students, I should say. So yeah, as you said, finding good people that will actually motivate you to be a better Muslim, and also since we're talking about being students, also to be a better student as well.
Yes. Right.
So if you have that friend that's oh, we got this midterm we need to study for. Let's go to Taylor Library and study there. That's a friend that you should keep for you hold on to that friend and you don't let go. Because they're the ones that are disciplining you to
and
stay
they're the
on
ones that are gonna pull you through on your hard times.
Yes. Yeah, those are the ones that are gonna help you through your hard times. Those are the ones that are gonna celebrate you during your happy times. You're not gonna be jealous of you if you achieve something that they didn't. Because everyone has their own skills and their own types of creativities and things like that. So if you excel in something that they necessarily don't, or vice versa, then you have that friend that can help you and you can help them. So that's also really important. Just to go back to the MSA. The MSA, I think it's a great opportunity to meet new people, people that you might not necessarily meet in your classes and things like that. But I also think it's a good opportunity for service. We're primarily on this earth to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the MSA is sort of the opportunity to serve Allah, serve the Muslim community for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what I always tell people when people are oh, what is the MSA? I'm it's literally an opportunity to serve the Muslim community for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You imagine the amount of reward that you would get just for doing that, right? And if it's just even if it's through events, or fun events like the Res event or the barbecue that we had literally yesterday.
Yeah.
Imagine you getting good deeds for going to a barbecue.
Yeah, you get and then you have some if you incorporate some sort of Islamic aspect into that, the amount of good deeds you'd be getting is insurmountable. SubhanAllah.
And going off of what you're saying there, I think the most important thing then is making your intentions be pure. Because if your intention going into the barbecue is, oh, I want to meet good Muslim people and get to know my community so I can help them out when they need to be helped and stuff like that, then that intention is what you're gonna get reward based on.
Yeah, and then you would actually get Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will facilitate that for you. If you go there to you want to meet new people for the sake of Allah, they're gonna keep you on your deen, discipline you. Even in your studies, Allah will facilitate that for you. He will find the right people for you and keep those people in your life. And that's the beauty of that.
Yeah. And I remember the first thing on the MSA orientation day that they said is intentions. Intentions are super important in everything you do. I feel like as students, important part about intention is, the intention of you studying, you coming here every day, you wake up a bit earlier than you wish, you go to campus, walk a bit longer than you want, and you get to class and you do all these stuff. Having the intention of talab al-ilm, or asking for knowledge for the sake of Allah, because knowledge is a super important part of Islam and it's very rewardable. And whatever you do, if you have intentions of, at the end of the day, serving the Muslim community, serving the earth in general, serving, making this earth a better place for all of us.
Sake of Allah.
Yeah, just that's all rewards. So every time things get hard, just renew your intentions. Like, I'm doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and hopefully we all get the rewards for that.
It also ties into sorry. Well, it also ties into ibadah as well, because you guys remember at orientation, when Sheikh Hanan was talking about ibadah, he's like, yeah, ibadah is like worship, but like the main, like the root word of ibadah is like ibadah is worship.
Yeah.
Not worship, sorry, service.
Service,
my God.
No, you're good.
It's service. So just like keeping that in mind and just being like, oh, like I'm serving the Muslim community for the sake of Allah.
Yeah.
So that's worship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
And the important thing about serving the Muslim community, honestly, is, as Maryam discussed earlier, Western is a very diverse place. And you'll find everything you're looking for. If you're looking to go out and do that, you'll find the people. So you need to be disciplined as a person generally, and also the MSA helps with keeping the community together. So if you are looking for Muslim students or somewhere to stay close to your Deen, there's the MSA that helps facilitate with that. So all I'm saying is also ties into having people around you that are good people, generally speaking. They don't have to be particularly Muslim, but they're people that have values, that push you to do your best, people who want the best for you, and people who will hold you accountable. You do not want people around you who are just like yes men, basically, just yeah, sure, whatever. People who are there to hold you accountable.
Yeah, I feel like the most important thing in university is to have friends who will help you through your tough times.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like the most important types of friends in uni that you need to have are people who will, first of all, help you through your tough times, and also respect your boundaries. As I mentioned earlier, as important as it is to go out, have a social life and stuff, it's also important to know where you're not allowed to where you have to stop, pretty much.
Yeah.
Where your Deen does not let you go. And of course that is what's better for you. Anything that is haram is made haram for a really good reason. It will haram literally haram is hurtful in my opinion. You know what I mean? So setting those boundaries and having friends that help you, friends that respect those boundaries, they don't, oh come on, it's just one time, let's go.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
One time is gonna turn into 2 times, then 3 times, then 4 times, and then
and then at the end of the day, you're a person you don't even know.
Yeah, really, things like this take you down a hill. How snowball effect, basically. You do not, you're oh, let me just, and then you're at the end and you're where am I right now? So it's very important to keep that, and you set your own boundaries. Set them very clear. Some people like to set the boundaries even before that line. There's the line of haram, and people like to set boundaries before that. And personally, in certain things, I like to let all my friends know about certain boundaries I have around certain things, even especially my non-Muslim friends, and they're usually very accepting and very lovely about it. And I know sometimes a non-Muslim friend would tell me, hey, are you going to pray or not? That's very nice personally, because they know my prayer is a boundary. I will leave everything right now to go pray. And I think that's
going off of what you said about people set their boundaries before the line of haram, I feel haram, that line, you only get there because there were doors of avoidance that you could have taken that you chose not to take. You know what I mean? So you ran through this door, you ran through the next door, you ran through the next door. So all of a sudden you're at the line between halal and haram. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's important to do what you said, set your boundaries way before, so you can foresee. If I go through this door, I'm probably going to go through the next one. I might go through the next one. So it's better to stop it before you can, run all the way through.
Yeah, an example, and then we'll go back to Maryam. An example would be I won't even be around people who drink or in a party setting. Although, I'm not drinking, which is the haram, I also stay away from that setting in general. And I tell my friends that, they respect that. And it's important to set that boundary. Although you're like, oh, you're not drinking, but I do not want to be in a setting where drinking is happening or people are drunk,
Yeah, I've definitely met people who are like, oh, you should come to the bar with us. And I'm like, oh, I don't. You're like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, no, thanks, I don't drink. And they're like, oh, you don't have to drink. And I'm like, no, I don't even want to step foot in the bar to begin with. Like, I'm like staying far away from that because
the amount of discomfort you would feel in that situation.
Yeah, just like, because like, shaitan, right? Like, shaitan waswasa, he's always waswasa-ing in our ears. So like, waswasa-ing is the verb.
That's true, yeah.
So yeah, like temptations are everywhere. So you might as well just like, not even approach that temptation. Then like be like, oh, like I'll, be like, oh, it's fine. I'm not gonna do it. But like, you're gonna do it. Like, just don't lie to yourself. You're gonna do it.
Yeah. I just want to add how important it is to be truthful with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And it's just so much easier. Like, no, I'm not the type of person, or whatever you tell yourself to be like, oh, it was just a one-time thing, or whatever it is. Hold yourself accountable all the time, and be honest with yourself. It's okay to admit that you're wrong. I feel like some people are like, it's hard for them. It's okay to admit that you're wrong. It's okay to admit that you went down a path a certain way that you shouldn't have. The doors back to Allah are always open, and that's the most important thing everyone needs to remember. As far along the line you are, as sometimes, shaitan wants you to believe that you cannot go back. It's like, there is no going back.
Like
you've
sinned forever. So much you can't come back.
Yeah, and that is like the worst thing, because shaitan uses that to keep people down where they are. But Allah's doors are always open, and He's the all-merciful. I like to think about that so much, how the entire mercy of this earth is just 1% of Allah's mercy. Like how my love to everyone around me, my family, my mom's love to me, how everyone loves their moms. It's only just 1% of Allah's love to us. So it's important to remember that even if you see yourself slip in any way, even in your studies, even in your work, your deen, in any way, it's important to hold yourself accountable. Be true with yourself. It's okay. I'm a human being. I sin. I do things wrong, and I'm here right now. It's better than just like, oh, well, it's not that bad. Oh, well, I'm still a good Muslim. I still pray. So that technically means,
that guilt that you feel after you do a sin, when you try to, like, that guilt in itself is a blessing.
Yes.
So the fact that you feel that guilt after committing a sin, like you have iman inside yourself, and that's why you know that this is wrong. So when you try to like push that guilt down by saying, oh, it wasn't like that bad. I just did this. I didn't do like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Do not numb these feelings. Do not ever numb them, because it's kind of, it becomes like your heart becomes like a stone. It becomes harder and harder, and then next time you just stop even thinking about them. So when you're having these feelings, sit down, reflect on them, and be, again, always honest, truthful with yourself, because you're always there with yourself. I feel like if you hold yourself accountable, that's the most important thing. And I feel like that's a thing for a successful person in general. You will see people who are successful in every way in life are people who hold themselves accountable, are disciplined, and are honest with themselves, and humble. It's okay, like being humble, like I did something wrong, and that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. That does not mean that I am a bad student. That does not mean I am, just terrible. That means that I have room of improvement. And the fact that I'm here telling that to myself, the fact that I'm here, I'm like, I know that I did something wrong, that's the first thing, and it's such a blessing.
Yeah, I feel like admitting that like you did that wrong, that in itself is like more than 50% of what you need to fix it.
Yeah. And we're just gonna tie this all back to studying, and because we went off to the Islamic place, which is so beautiful. I feel like when you have these conversations with your friends,
it's like you don't even know where they're gonna go,
and then it just ends up like, see you in Jannah. You start conversation about the pizza you ate, and then you just find yourself there. But that's a beautiful thing about Islam, and these conversations with people with the same values as you. So midterms are here. Good luck, everyone. It's important to remember that you're not alone. Literally, everyone's going through that. Like, I can talk to anyone on campus right now, and you see the under eye bags low-key, you're like, I see
midterm season's kicking in. Yeah, so Maryam, do you have any final tips after having gone through 4 years of midterms as a student, not only a med-sci student, but also as like a Muslim student?
Ooh, tips.
Yeah.
Dang.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to share her secret, guys. Like,
yeah, man, I want to share my secret to success. No, but I would say like just like have tawakkul, and just like be have tawakkul. Like obviously put the effort in, put as much effort in as you can, and then leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the other subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also at the other side, don't like be lazy. Don't be like, Allah's got me. I can. Yeah. I'll just pull up to this calculus midterm and like I'll pull 100. Like, but yeah, just like be open and honest with yourself. Like if you feel like you haven't, I guess, studied enough for an exam or whatnot, like just be like, okay, you know what? Like I've tried my best. At least I know what I did wrong. I didn't study enough for this exam. Yeah. So I'll always ensure that there's like room for improvement. Yes. Always like don't be like, oh man, it's because of this prof or whatever. Like sure, it might be because of the prof. Let's be honest, it might be because of the prof. Absolutely. But also like hold yourself accountable. Don't like actually make sure that you're reflecting on sort of everything that you've learned and everything that you've been through since the beginning of the course or whatever. And there's always room for improvement. Don't be so arrogant that you're like, oh man, like there's I'm good, whatnot. But like no, there's always room for improvement. So have to tawakkul in Allah, like pray to Allah. That's the importance of Salah. Yeah. Make dua that you actually pass your exams and everything like that. Adkhar. Do what you need to do. That do what you need to do Deen wise in order to like attain success, but also like study wise, put the effort in. Hard work. Yes, hard work, effort, inshallah, and inshallah you'll get there. Yeah, that was like all over the place.
That's a great summary of everything. Yeah. Okay. It's just like, again, like if you notice that you spent too much time on TikTok and you didn't do well on your midterm, just make sure that doesn't happen again by deleting TikTok. Yeah. So I feel like, okay, it's important to be honest with yourself. Like, okay, I didn't do this because of that. Then fix it. Fix it. Next time, it shouldn't happen again.
Yeah, it's just as important to reflect as it is to like take actions to like make sure that it doesn't happen again. Yeah.
And last thing, take care of yourself. Allah, tells us to take care of ourselves and do service to yourself by sleeping. Please make sure you sleep. I know an all-nighter sounds so good right now because you have so much work to do, but at the end of the day, nafsak alayha haqq. So that means just like yourself, has priority of being taken care of. So take care of yourself, eat well, drink water.
Add on to taking care of yourself, also making sure that you're keeping in check with like your family as well.
Oh, that's great.
Don't lock yourself in your room and just forget about your family or anything like that.
Call your parents every day.
Call your parents every day, or if you live with your parents, that's a huge blessing. Making sure that you're talking to your mom, talking to your dad, your siblings, whatever. Just give yourself that time away from your studies, and also let your family know that you're alive and that you're not dying in your room.
Every time you go out of the room, glad to see you in the house.
And just as important as it is for you to let them know that you're alive, make sure that they're doing good.
They're doing good as well. And just also engaging in hobbies as well, and de-stress. De-stress is also really important, like going out on a walk.
Walks, please. I recommend walks.
Yes.
Also, I'm planting lavender little pots. So by final season, I'm gonna have lavenders in my room. Yeah, I'm giving it over to everyone, guys. Essential oils. I know certain small stuff that can really help you. Yeah. Candles. I like candles. They de-stress me sometimes. Yeah, I have a lot of candles. Yeah. But take care of yourself. I know sometimes you think my main priority right now is to get through this. And that's true, but if you want to get to that, you need to take care of yourself along the way, because you cannot run a marathon with a body that's literally crumbling down. Do you know what I mean? So just take care of your health. Again, please sleep. I feel like for me, sleeping is very important. And I went through a time where I didn't sleep for a while, and my body literally crumbled. So I'm just guys, don't do this. So make sure you get your sleep.
If in order to prioritize sleep, if you really want to prioritize sleep, at least sleep early and then wake up early. I know. Wake up if you want right before Fajr or something like that. So you could pray Tahajjud or the night prayer, and then study for a little bit, pray Fajr, and then get on with the rest of your day. Because like I said before, there is a lot of blessing in the morning. So you wake up, your mind is fresh, And I think I feel like for me personally, like my brain can actually retain a lot more information in the morning. So that would ensure that you're actually like getting enough sleep.
Yeah, and I feel like the timing of Fajr is perfect. So some people stay up till Fajr, but I personally think that if you sleep, Fajr always wakes you up. You always have to, wake up for Fajr. So I feel like if you use that as like, okay, I'm gonna wake up for Fajr anyways, let me start studying. So yeah, like some people sleep an hour before Fajr, then you miss Fajr sometimes. So just make sure like Fajr is a very important pillar, and take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's it. Like just take care, guys.
Yeah.
We're all gonna get through this until final season when we see you guys again.
Not only until final season, we have like 4 years to go. You're in your last year though.
Yeah. I mean, I still have a whole journey to go through.
Yeah,
inshallah.
So. This is only the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna see great things from Maryam. So excited, inshallah. That's it. So excited to have her here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, you are always welcome here, guys. If you'll just see Maryam holding a sign in the background, that's where we like to have her around.
Or behind the camera.
She is always behind the camera, actually. So yeah, that's it. UmmahSpeaks out.
UmmahSpeaks out.
UmmahSpeaks out, guys.
كن سعيدا كن فريدا عش بفخر في الحياة لا تبالي فالمعالي بالتحدي لا سواه